So I do have a new gal probably next week if we're good. I have a gal. She owns a box truck company here in Indy.
Oh, yeah.
So
You can get her on?
yeah,
All right. That's good, man. All right, here we go.
I met her. We'll talk
Oh, shoot. I was already recording.
My time has come, we've had some fun.
It's time for the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast. Here with a load of laughs, info, and fun, it's Tony B, Dave B, and Timmy D.
Before I go alone. Don't ask me this and one more song. It ain't too costly, no, I ain't too cheap, so just relax. I'm on my knees.
Welcome to the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast, episode number 144, Dave. Project 144. 144. Yeah, man. Happy Saturday morning. Welcome to the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast, episode 144. We are rolling, just me and David. You know David B, the sidekick here. David, happy Saturday morning. We do this thing because of what?
Transportainment.
Kaboom! Any of our views aren't the views of any company or any transportation company. It's purely transportainment. David, happy Saturday morning, brother.
Good Saturday morning, producer Tony. What a crisp, cool Saturday morning that it is. And the town or the city of Indianapolis is deciding to host a major NCAA event today and decided that they feel like it's okay to close down a big portion of the interstate. Somebody make that make sense. Make that make sense. Wide open yesterday, wide open whatever, but on the day of a big event, let's close the MFR down.
I know.
I just I don't get it. I never have.
There's been so much of it too this year, like all over.
In that area specifically. How many more times are they going to just F that area up? You're like, come on. I don't.
And the random close downs, right? Like get up Saturday morning, want to head to the north side, maybe go to the mall, and the whole thing shut down.
When was the last time you were in a mall?
Well, the last time I got stuck on the interstate,
Boom.
which was about 6 weeks ago.
Amen.
They shut the whole thing down on Saturday. I had to get off on Pendleton Pike and back door it.
Thank you.
My God.
Which is what's happened today. And I who makes these, you feel like going, what's wrong with you people?
Well, you know, in their defense, because we did that deep dive that one time into IDOT, Indiana Department of Transportation, which Indiana has the top 5 ranked infrastructure in the nation.
Boy, I find that hard to believe.
I know.
I know.
People born here probably would find it, but if you weren't raised here and you lived in different states, you can totally see it. There are more county roads in Indiana, and you know my territory. I can get around pretty good. Now, if that was in central Illinois, it'd be a lot more difficult, man.
Is there such a thing as growing up in Illinois, producer Tony? Is there such a thing as a gravel road in Illinois?
Not very many, man.
Why do we have them here?
Well, that's the other thing about the infrastructure. It's a great question. Illinois is very restrictive on, kind of like California, but not as bad, right? So Indiana's always amazed me. I love the state, and here's why. You could be like in downtown area, right? And then you can be in a residential area, and then boom, there's a business, big ass business, right?
Yep.
Next to a neighborhood,
right?
In Illinois, that's not going to happen. You got to put it in the designated industrial park.
Okay.
All right. And you have to have, when you build a street, you have to have a curb of at least 4 to 6 inches. Right here, you don't have to have that. So in Illinois, a lot of times when you're going down a 2-lane road, you can't make a left because they have that if they haven't chunked out the median to turn, and that's what people in Illinois complain about a lot.
I see.
And they do it all based on traffic flow in their perception, which I think Indiana does it better, because in Indiana, you'll see those black lines laying down a lot. I see them in county roads, man. And they're counting the traffic flow. They're not estimating, they're counting it. So, and then that guides them into when they're going to do their repairs and all that. I just think there's a better process in this state. I think the state does a pretty good job.
Okay.
In Illinois, you got potholes all over the roads, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that here a lot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I just don't. And I know we use sand and salt combination, right? Here, Illinois, they don't. They just they pour pure salt, right? So
it eats up the road fast.
it eats the road up faster. So that's probably in reality why they could take the toll money away, because the repairs on the roads will cost so much that they have to have some kind of, they'd be taxing you even more, right? If they didn't have that money. So as much as we want to bitch and complain about it, that's
one thing I will about Illinois, specifically Chicago, I do like their public transportation. To me,
that's where they're probably
absolute
outshine people.
No brainer is that we don't have some sort of that, and I know we have a bus system, but it seems, and I guess I don't know that bus system at all or very well that I should. It just seems like a complicated thing. It doesn't seem like it's an easy, like, I'm going to take the bus, because you can't take it from like Zionsville downtown.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just not, it just doesn't seem.
Yeah, and Chicago's had that since the 50s, from 60s.
And legit starts in South Bend.
Yeah. Had that for decades, man. And really haven't improved upon it.
That's why I think if we had a rail system like Fishers to Indy, Zionsville to Indy, blah, blah, blah to Indy, to me, it just seems like that's a no-brainer. But I can imagine the billions of dollars that it would take to get that done.
You're probably going to be shocked when I tell you this. Do you know who thinks just like you do? Someone really famous. Actually has proposed it to the White House before.
I'm out on this.
Elon Musk.
Okay.
He thinks you could put it all over the place, and you could do it underground.
But shouldn't we? Or
and
am I wrong with that? We should.
No, I think it's right. I think it's right. There's a story that one of the presidents had Elon Musk, Bezos, and all these geniuses in the White House, and they were talking about things they could do and work on and all this. They're just throwing things out in the air, right? And that's what Musk of all presented, and it was like,
if I have a doctor's appointment, downtown, or I mean, your wife works downtown, my wife works downtown. I mean, why wouldn't you? Just my own, but maybe I'm looking at it.
Well, even Dayton, Ohio has the trolley system, right? With the electric trolley system.
Shout out to Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's San Francisco was doing that back in the 50s, and so we've just never. I just think they've wanted to sell cars more than they've really wanted to reward a public transportation system.
That's fair, I guess. I mean, that makes sense.
They'd rather me and you go to spend $40,000 on a car. That helps the economy better. And then when we go downtown, we'll ride the bus. But
so think about what you just said. $40,000 on a vehicle is what standard is.
Yeah.
In my head.
It's insane. Yeah. It's insane. You could buy a house when we were growing up as a kid for $40,000, David. A nice one in the suburbs. I mean, today, the down payment
is $40,000.
Yeah, it's the down payment. If you're lucky.
I don't know how anybody gets ahead. I don't
know. I saw the national average of housing, and they predict the national average of housing will be $700,000 for a house. Nationwide average. That is insane, man. It's like $290,000, $385,000, something like that right now. I mean,
gosh,
how are they ever going to afford houses here? I mean, it's almost like they don't want them to. But that's interesting, man.
So, producer Tony, this show, along with all of our other shows, are brought to you by The Great Divide, 743 East New York Street, downtown Indianapolis. Went there yesterday. We did a charity event that we raised.
Ugly sweater.
We did the ugly sweater.
Did you win?
I did not, which is my intent. And I didn't wear a sweater, so I did not win. I went for the sole purpose of not winning, and we raised money for helping HVAF, helping veterans and families. Wow. It was a food donation thing. And you know how not big or how small kind of the Great Divide is. It was his asses to elbow.
No way.
Packed.
Really?
And I'm not just saying.
How long have you been doing that?
This is, oh my gosh.
Decades?
15.
Wow.
I'll go 15 years probably. ish or
Decades.
whatever. And it was, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it was asses to elbow. It was Gabe, Pilot Gabe showed up. I hadn't seen Gabe and probably since,
wow, yeah.
I don't think I've seen Gabe since you
Long
and I
time,
have
yeah,
seen Gabe.
right.
He asked about you. He told me to tell you. He said hello.
awesome.
He was
He's a
like,
good dude,
how's
man.
Tony doing? I'm like, he's awesome. I'll
Nice
see him
young
in the
man.
morning. So what, I was blown away, dude. And I'm not just saying that I was effing blown away how packed it was.
Wow.
And that was good. You know,
Yeah.
again, it doesn't take a lot for the Great Divide to be packed. But
Right.
it was legitimately packed.
That's
And
awesome,
My
dude.
memory is a little foggy this morning.
It's coming back throughout the hours.
Yeah.
Pieces.
So I will say this. I'm
Pieces.
gonna complain, and I don't like to complain.
Oh.
Our,
Do I need to get the
our
beat
bill,
button
No, I'm not gonna. And you tell me if I'm wrong. What do you think? We did not eat food yesterday. What do you think? It was just Mac. It was me and Mac, and then a couple people from his office.
You want me to guess how much do I think it was?
Yeah, well, maybe in my head now, maybe I'm right. Maybe they are right. And yeah, go ahead. I mean, take a guess on what you think the bill might have been before tip.
And this is how many people?
5. It originally was probably only 2. Anyway, I'll just be quiet. I'll let you guess.
Let me think here.
Good thinking music.
It is. As I'm heading to 10th floor, I've got to figure out by the time I get
Shoes.
there. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to say
Stockings, accessories.
I'm going to say $350.
You're a lot closer than I thought you would be. 5.
Whoa.
So in my head, here's what I'm thinking, Tony. You legitimately think that that's all right? How? There's no. I am one of probably very few customers that you have that are legitimately.
I thought I was on the way high side when I said that, bro.
How? Again, and maybe I'm the wrong one. How is it that you legitimately feel it's okay?
That's without a tip.
Right. So it was 6 with tip. How is it that you legitimately feel that it's okay to charge that to one of your legit effing every week?
It's $5,000, dude. Damn.
And so when I kind of said something to Jen, I'm like, even though I'm not the one paying the bill.
But so did the person. Go ahead. I'll wait.
I'm not the one paying the bill. Still, I'm like, and she just, so, and I'm like,
really?
you can't cut like some sort of, and I know you're a small business, and I know it, and I'm all about supporting the small business and the whatever, and maybe I'm looking how. Man, I'm struggling.
Well,
I'm struggling with that.
Yeah.
Thinking somebody thinks that's okay.
Well, let me ask you this.
By the way, Donna was there, and I hadn't seen Donna. She fucking nailed it. She was
really.
Excuse my language.
Yeah,
she was
right.
awesome. But
So,
anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So if the bill's that high between 5 people, wow.
But it legitimately, it was just 2 of us. I don't know how anybody. I'm guessing.
Did they get somebody else on your bill? Maybe by accident.
So
did the person paying the bill? Did the
yeah.
person paying the bill look and go, "Holy shit"?
Not till after the fact.
Oh, okay.
And that's just the way.
Yeah.
These people are. They're like,
well, I get it. Yeah. But if they're surprised, then there's something probably might be wrong.
That I'm talking it out this morning. Maybe is all right. So 1, 2.
That's like
one of his office people bought their spouse.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So maybe. Maybe. All right.
If you have 5 people and a couple are ordering double drinks.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're ordering cocktails. because
We
the
didn't-
cocktails
we
aren't
didn't
cheap.
eat. We did not eat. Like they ate. I'm sure.
Did they have a price increase that we don't
Yeah.
know about?
They have a price increase.
Maybe because it's relatively inexpensive
still when your
to
bill
drink
is,
there.
man,
Or
maybe
have a
I'm
good
just
time.
looking at it wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I know you're a business and you're trying to, and we love the Great Divide.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely. It's
dude,
not going to
yeah.
not keep me from going in there. It's just in my head. I'm like, what? And I'm not saying they did wrong. I'm just,
I'm thinking there's more on there than maybe should have
Probably
been.
so.
Like, I mean,
but they did do an excellent job. And if you're ever in Indy, stop by the Great
I
Divide.
personally have never felt like I've been wronged on a.
And I don't want to say,
rate.
that's what I'm trying to avoid. I don't
Well,
want
I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah.
Like that.
But part of me is like, maybe we should cut him a deal. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm, because, and I told the guys before we got there, and we got there just in time or we wouldn't have found a spot to sit because it was legit SRO. And I'm like, man, I think we're F today. And they're like, ah. I'm like, yeah. And so we did. We left the office. We left the office probably
David B.
at 4:45. And so the event was from 4 to 8. So we went to Fountain Square first, bounced a couple spots there. And then we were fashionably late at the Great Divide. And
Fashionably late.
we probably got there about 6:20, 6:30 or so. If we'd have been 5 more minutes late, we would have been absolutely screwed on somewhere to sit because there was nowhere. It was legit packed full. And it's good to see, but man, maybe I'm all right. Maybe I'm wrong on my assessment, but I'm just like, don't you cut some sort of fucking deal? Or,
Yeah.
Again, sorry for my language.
You guys weren't drinking Remy Martin Black Pearl.
Mm-mm.
It's the most expensive liquor in the U.S.
So they, in their office, they had a advent calendar of bourbons. And I just kind of thumbed through. There was a catalog that came with the calendar, and I'm intrigued. I've never kind of delved into that liqueur, but
Yeah.
I'm like a smoked something or a toasted. There was a smoked something. There was a toasted something.
Yeah.
They looked and like they would probably be pretty good. Aaron was there. Remember Aaron?
Oh, yeah.
He was there.
Love
Gabe
Aaron.
was there. It was so good to see.
Aaron's
Again, the
good.
Great Divide did an outstanding job, and this is just going to be forgotten about what we spent, but yeah, I don't know, man. Just how do you not? And I know you're a small business. I know you're paying. You had full staff yesterday, so you had. Yeah, I mean, boy, I don't know, man. Just struggling with the $500 for a bar bill, but
Yeah, but they always take care
I
of
don't
us.
like yeah.
You know, and
Don't take.
maybe I'm just thinking, David, maybe something's on that bill that you guys aren't aware of.
And we
by
kind
accident.
of, and Mac just played it off like, I wouldn't have complained.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have, anybody I would have, and I'm not trying to say I complained. I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How do you,
Right.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm making something of nothing, but they did a great job. I'm so happy that, and it went extremely well. The girls had to make bank, and I'm sure the Great Divide did
That's
well.
awesome.
It was asses to elbow, and it was so good to see some people that you hadn't seen in a minute. Like again, Gabe, Aaron, a handful of other people that were in there that you don't normally see. It was
Nice.
that's one of those charitable events that you just word of mouth goes and it does well. You know what I'm saying? Where you don't necessarily have to bust ass to get the event out there. It's that small word of mouth that kind of does it. Does that make sense?
Well,
Where
yeah, you've been doing it forever, right?
Yeah,
15
but
years.
yesterday was the best one,
The biggest
by
one ever.
far, and it was again, hats off to the Great Divide and everybody that showed up, and Brian Huber was there. Aaron was there. Gabe was there. Yeah, just what an event. Absolutely.
Did you see Francois?
No. So it's funny you. I was gonna
I haven't seen him for a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up to him when I saw him. I would hope to have seen him earlier in the week, and it didn't happen, which is fine.
Yeah.
No issues. Yeah, I know. I don't think he would have showed up. I bet.
Oh,
would.
yeah.
Yeah,
He might be
would
out of
have.
town.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think I really mentioned it to him because it was kind of last minute ish. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks to the Great Divide, and yeah, I'll leave it. I'll leave that $500 bill.
Bam!
I guess it's the cost of doing business, right?
It is. David B.
Think about if you had to explain that tab.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be you'd be
That's what
split.
I'm getting at.
You'd be splitting that.
That's right.
Yeah, that'd be a big problem. Be a big problem. Be a big.
So that's my point. That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Like, the owner of the company was there, and he's like,
Yeah.
"All right, we'll tip 100 still." I mean, you legit spent 6, so
right. Here's some trucking news for us, brother.
Okay, sorry to get off on.
No, that's good stuff. I enjoy hearing your stories, man. It's good stuff. Thank you for bringing that up. So, looks like trucking demand and capacity are edging closer to equilibrium, David. There's a great article by Transport Topics.
Okay.
December 5th,
Mm-hmm.
2024, 2:04 p.m. Eastern Time, put up by Connor D. Wolf, staff reporter at Transport Topics. So they use that ACT Research, who you and I used before, and their data, and they're saying it's kind of starting to balance out right now, but it's not really there. The trucking market's kind of in limbo. I call it a state of stable, sustained oversupply. Freight demand hasn't had any catalyst for growth yet. C.H. Robinson ranks number 2 in the list of logistics companies, largest logistics companies. One of the clearest signs of the state of the market is route guide depth. Typically, a sustained increase in route guide depth over several months would indicate the market is tightening and carriers could afford to be choosier about freight they accept. Instead, our statistics indicate that route guide depth has remained flat. So we're not there yet, but just to recap the article, and it's a great article, everyone should read it if you're interested in trucking. So here's the thing I wanted to tell you about the highlight. So it says that even in November, we will lose another 7,000 carriers, Crooks said from ACT Research. We've been averaging about 7,000 carriers exiting the market all year.
What the fuck?
Every month. And that just speaks to the massive influx that came into the market in 2021 and 2022. By their accounts, that's 480,000 carriers have joined since June 2020. So we're still 18% above what expected to leave the market. And he says that's extraordinary, that 18%. So we brought so many on in 2020, 2022, that the amount of we lose every year, typically without those years included, we'd be really low on drivers. So essentially we're kind of in a good spot, and that's why it's not balanced out yet. So, but I was going to ask you, because you're on the other end of this, have you seen anything in regard to your supply chain of ordering supplies, stocking, warehousing? Has it increased, decreased, same, or?
So it's funny you mentioned this. I wanted this to be my topic today too, so we were on the same page. I had a meeting yesterday afternoon with one of our big truckload carriers, and that's exactly the first point of topic was what you brought up on yourself, is that capacity is tightening up, and so rates are starting to be more in their favor.
Right.
Which, of course, on my end, I'm like, nah,
You're fighting on the other end. Yeah.
To me, they still haven't came down, in my opinion. The rates still haven't came back down to where they should be or sustainable or whatever. But of course, fuel's up and whatever, and people that are gonna complain about whatever it is to cost, like to go buy eggs or cereal or milk or whatever. A big part of what you're paying is the cost to get it there. So yes, I mean, capacity is tightening, but that means rates are just still going to stay high, or what I think are high or whatever. So it's really not changing. But when we talked about this during or just after the kind of COVID era where people jumped in, and we interviewed some people like, well, you should have expected this.
Yeah.
And this is to my point, I guess, is what I'm saying is that, kind of expecting this to happen. So we've planned for it and we're okay, but man, the rates are still just, and I know if I shopped probably better, I could probably do a better job of shopping. I hope nobody who I work for is listening to this, but I could probably do a better job of shopping and get better rates, but they're still, and I do shop, but they're still high. So
yeah. So this is one other thing. I'm glad to hear that from you, because it looks like what you're saying, it's the same.
Yep.
It's basically the same. So here's something interesting. We are completely balanced right now in the market, said Jacob Fonse, Carrier Relations Manager of Procurement at E2 Open. When Yellow went out of business back in July, they shed 34,000 jobs off the market. If you look back at the market intelligence reports, it looks like between July and August, we shed about 37,000 jobs.
Damn.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to hear. I don't like hearing that 37,000 people don't have a job. Or out of the market. Or whatever.
So it does look like, and wrapping this up, David, it does look like down the road in the quarters, they're expecting the carriers, the growth to come back. So I don't know if your company is seeing a forecasted growth in the second, third quarter.
Definitely not like product wise. There's definitely not any kind of foreseeable growth. It just seems like things are down or whatever. But man, I don't know.
So let me ask you this.
And down, I mean on dollars wise down. I don't necessarily mean I'm going to go 12 million off of where we were last year. And I know not as a business owner, I'm like, 12 million off.
Yeah. That's a big shot.
I don't know that panic buy. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough to get a read. I guess that's probably a better way to say it. It's tough to get a read.
So does your company, because I've been reading a lot of articles about, let's see here. We can shift this to, I guess. Ooh, David.
Hey.
Topic 2. This might be controversial.
Hello, pretty lady.
That's a nice sweater you got on.
That is nice. You fill out that.
So, all right. So this is an article that I caught. Does a Trump presidency mean a boom for trucking? This is a Fleet Owner, November 6, 2024. So the expectation in trucking kind of is what happens is these tariffs that Trump will impose supposedly will spark more domestic continental traffic.
Okay.
Which it did under his other administration.
Mm-hmm.
How does it affect you, your company? How does it affect it? Because interest rates and all that will help your company, right? If they lower them and do all that. But would your company,
is that the projection part of it too? Is that interest rates are going to lower?
Yeah, right.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if things stay the same, boy, man.
No, if things stay the same, David, it's going to not be good.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah. And why?
So,
and here's what I'm thinking, though.
I'm not trying to be pro or negative. I just think it does help us.
So yeah,
on my side,
right. And 100%, 100% agree. 100% agree. But what I'm getting in my head is that, and maybe I'm wrong in looking at this, that you hear that the unions or the auto unions,
right.
Let's just go them.
Yeah.
Let's just say the auto unions have restructured their contract where they're going to get a 25% raise in the next X amount of years or whatever that raise is. We're the ones ending up paying for that, So in the end, do things go? I don't know. Yes, I think that it's a boom, but then the cost is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Do costs still good? Do costs, even though, I mean, if interest rates going to, maybe I'm overthinking what I'm saying.
Well, no, because it's good to think about that stuff because there's things in this article that I
Because
do.
you have to pass that along.
Yeah, you do. Somebody's paying it, right? The increase and the decrease.
'Cause I'm never going to buy another new car ever.
Yeah, man, it's just crazy.
I don't know how anybody does.
Oh man,
The owner of the company that I was out with last night drives a 2009 Honda Accord.
yeah. I'm kind of like Tony Dungy when I went to the Dungy breakfast with dads in Indy. It was about 5:45 in the morning, and I was standing outside waiting for Ed Perry or somebody to show up, and I see Tony Dungy gets out of a car, and I'm like, that's not Tony Dungy getting out of a Toyota Avalon. I'm like, holy shit, it is. And he walks right up to me and he goes, hey, young man, how are you doing? You here for the breakfast? I'm like, oh, yeah, I am. I'm like, it's awesome to meet you. He's like, have a great day, man. Look forward to seeing you in there. And I was like, Tony Dungy drives a Toyota Avalon? I'm like, you would think, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This guy's making millions, right? I was shocked by that. But that's what you got to do. I mean, why? I mean, they could probably get a company car, I guess, but you'd think the Colts would have Dungy driving around in a Mercedes or something, or something.
I know what my dad was, you and I grew up in a generation where, and I'm assuming your family was the same way, that it was just my dad that worked. My mom didn't have.
My mom worked.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we grew up in a generation where the spouse didn't necessarily have to.
It started to
what I'm
turn during
saying.
that time,
Yeah,
I think.
like,
But yeah.
Yeah. My high school years, my mom would keep herself busy with a part-time job or something. But we made it off of that one income. And I feel like, I know factually we make 5 times more than what my dad did during that. And it's the two of us, and we live, I feel, the exact same way. Zero difference in our lifestyles.
I think you're exactly
and we're
right.
Boring as F. Don't go out to eat. Don't whatever. And we live no differently. We may save differently, but we don't live, as far as our standard of living, we live no differently then than we did now, or now than we did then, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I think you're right, because I've had this conversation before with people, and years ago I did do that documentary, right? And it looked at salaries and cost and stuff like that of Americans, the cost of living and the American dream, and what it means generationally, who was easier to achieve it. That generation would make 9 to 10 to 50. If you made $20 an hour back then, you were super rich, right? So everybody's making 5, 6, 7, 8, $10 an hour. My dad was making, if he was on this podcast right now, he would tell you that his dollar went more when he made $12 an hour in the 70s than him. He was a business owner, right? He sold a business for a lot of money.
Was he his only employee, or
he worked for a company called Beatrice Foods, and they paid him $12 an hour. And he was like, he'll tell you, like, he goes, I went down the street, I needed a new vehicle. He goes, I went down the street and I bought a brand new Ford. He's a Ford pickup guy. He goes, I went down the street and I bought a Ford Ranger for $3,300.
My dad was a Ford guy too.
Yeah. He goes, today he's got a Ford F-150, $60,000. He's like, that is just astronomically wrong. And I was thinking this the other day. I was in my car and I was driving and started thinking about, how much does it really cost them to make this car? You know what I mean? Because, I mean, I look back to the Chevy Chevette and the Vega and these cars, right? And you see what kind of cars are those would compare to that today? And these cars are like $30,000, right? But I don't want to get sidetracked. But
you're on the same. You're on the same. You're not sidetracked.
It might be worse.
But
David.
when you were thinking, so going back to what you were saying,
might be worse.
Just thinking about what it takes to build that car or whatever. So labor had to be the number one
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Back in the 70s, it was.
And not that it shouldn't be. Don't take it that I'm saying that labor shouldn't be whatever, because we're all should be paid fairly. And
We know that the cost over time goes down on
Mhm.
goods once they get the manufacturing, cycling, processing, all that stuff down, right?
Mhm.
That it goes down. It's
Mhm.
just like the Toyota hydrogen car. It's cost them to build this one car millions of dollars, right?
Mhm.
Because they can't mass produce it yet. But it's I think it might be worse in some cases, David, and here's why. I think it's more regionalized now. If you make X amount of dollars in this state, it's not going to work in this state, right? And then my God, could you imagine living in Chicago trying to keep up with that? Living in the heart of the city and house is $1 million and the same house in Indiana is 200 grand.
What's
You know
your
what I mean?
right?
I mean, how the hell do you afford that?
What's your number one? What's your other than not necessarily counting the house here on the 19th green, other than the cost of the home ownership? What's your number one cost a month, other than the cost of your home, or
If you had
what's
a mortgage or whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to. Sorry,
Electric.
really.
That's the one that drives me nuts.
Ours is insurance. Like
Oh, that too. Yeah.
by
Insurance and electric. Yeah.
by yeah,
Yeah.
we're right there with you.
Yeah. Because
Just that
yeah.
cost is
Well, the electrics,
fuck.
it's the knowing that it can be done for basically nothing.
Yeah.
And knowing that we have to pay for it.
With,
And
mm-hmm.
and I'm okay with helping the economy and being a capitalist. Don't get me wrong, but something. I mean, there's a cycle of industries that are over 100 years old. They end up being brokered out, and the cost goes down so cheap that things virtually can become almost like cost free in a way. And that's something that I mean, I don't know. It's just that's one that drives me nuts and always has, and insurance does too, because especially medical.
Oh, yeah, we could do a whole
Yeah, you can do a whole podcast on
series.
that.
Yeah,
I mean, the one good thing that I thought President Trump said that he was going to bring down the cost of electric by half.
Oh,
Well, if he does that, then that means that that I don't know. I'm not being Lee Harvey Degrassi, but that means to me that they may know something that we don't know, and that they can drive the cost down that much, right? So if that's the case, then I don't know. I just think we overpay for it. And it's a monopoly, and it just pisses me off sometimes. Because especially these states that try to manipulate and monitor how much electricity you use, right? Like California cutting hey, you can't water your grass today, stuff like, it's just silly. It's just absolutely silly.
you're right.
But one of the things this article pumped out that I didn't think of was Trump will reduce vehicle emission standards. He'll do things like that'll help those industries. So
Okay.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
It's billions of dollars in those industries. So
Mm-hmm.
opening up the oil pipeline creates more trucking, more orders, more supplies. So that's just stuff I didn't think about. American Trucking Association thinks that the trucking will increase over his presidency.
Okay.
So.
But then to bring cost of that down, or
Yeah, I think so. It's just
again,
stabilize cost. It'll be more competitive, and
okay, good.
the thinking is it'll help both the purchaser and the supplier and the buyer, which would be the purchaser.
Right.
Yeah, so they think the
Good.
tariffs will help domestically. They call it nearshoring, and those auto companies won't move overseas, which would create more intra shipping.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? I hope it does. I mean, it needs to bound. It's like we're all fighting over the same piece of meat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I know we've talked about this before, but on your side of the industry, at least, do you feel like there could be a little, like, if let's just hypothetically say a national LTL carryout based out of Chicago went to go under.
I saw that.
I mean, is the industry can handle that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm,
for sure.
I don't want anybody to lose their job.
Well, it's almost like that guy when he compared the 37,000 job losses to the 34,000 job losses at YRC,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's almost like the market just consumed it and it evaporated. And you lost 3,000 more. So, or 4,000 more. So, yeah. Yeah, I do. It'll be interesting.
And again, I don't want anybody to lose their job, but I think the market's where it is, where you could sustain, the market could sustain a carrier or maybe two,
right?
Kind of like, meh.
Well, heck, you just had Cargill lay off 8,000 people nationwide.
Oh, wow.
That's one of the largest food suppliers in the nation. 8,000 people, man.
Dude, I'm afraid for my job every day. For 37 years, I've been afraid for my job.
You're afraid of reduction? You're afraid of AI? You're afraid of
because
all that?
People that we've talked about this before. There's that if people don't get anywhere with me, they'll go around me. Like, as far as trying to oh, hey, we can blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And people listen to that stuff.
Right.
Every day I'm scared.
I had one,
every single day.
I had a customer in Wabash area get approached by a 3PL through they got bypassed into the ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, and it hit me at the right time because I had just had a customer leave one and went direct with us in Kokomo and was sending me emails how happy she was doing that and how easy we've been to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like telling them, like, if you do this, you're not going to be happy, and things are going to change in here, and you won't be probably be using us. And they're like, oh yeah. So then I shared some stuff and was like, hey, you don't want to, some stuff. And they were like, oh, and I said that customer is willing to let you talk to them if you want to talk to them, and because that's the same one. And then I think they did talk. And long story short, they were like, they got out of it. But it's like, man.
So the corporation I work for, they just recently farmed out their IT.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
that dude's not there anymore? What was the one dude's name? Well, you don't have to say his name, but
yeah. I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah. Wow.
Farmed out the IT.
Whoa. Do you have IT on staff?
Nope.
Wow.
That's a big pain in the ass too.
Oh yeah, because then you got to get requests, and yeah.
Could you imagine my job being? I mean, I look at that as my job being farmed out. Like that's the same stuff that.
Well, David, I think about it too. I mean, think about this. When I worked at Roadway out of Indianapolis, we had
who wants to see you.
Yeah.
Today, who wants to see you?
It's getting harder and harder.
25 years ago, hell yeah,
you had to see him. Yeah, but I think about like some salespeople in the industry talk about. I mean, it's factual stuff. I mean, we're not hiding anything here, lying or being deceptive here. When I first started in this industry, we had 16 reps work out of Indy. All the smaller terminals and stuff, right? You were based out of Indy, but that I was in Danville, Illinois. I was in Indianapolis, then Danville, Illinois, right? I was still part of Indianapolis. I saw it all go all the way down to Tim and two guys.
Just getting ready to say, right? Of those 16, think about who's left.
0.
You.
Yeah. Right.
That's
true.
I'm
the last guy.
No, seriously.
I know.
Well, and also
of that original group,
the dude? Yeah, no. What's the dude that went to go work at Morin? What's that guy? Gosh darn it. He was the original yellow dude. Like the original. Him and Beener were like the
Tom.
Tom Hent. Yep.
Yeah.
TH. You and Tom are it.
Yeah.
It.
That's it. Wow.
Think about that.
I didn't know that.
You and Tom are it.
Yeah. Wow.
Legitimate.
The last two on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That survived that. So.
And you work for a company now, or at least in my opinion, the company you work for, in my head, you're set.
Yeah. It's a good one. I like it. Yeah. Love it.
I mean, if some people can do it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You good the t-shirt? Yeah. if they can do it,
Yes.
you can do it too.
But you and Tom are it.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
Wow. So, but yeah, that's crazy. So then even where I work today, the territories are getting bigger and bigger, right? So meaning you have less reps, right? So, and maybe there were too many at Roadway back then, right?
So 4 out of Indy, 1 out of Kokomo, right?
Yeah, 3 out of Indy. Just 3. You would think there'd be 4 or 5, but that, they can do it with 3. So, and there's a good thing about that because you have more territory to work on, and
But then do you do the customers? I mean, I know not every customer is a Dave customer, but I mean, do the customers suffer then if you?
Well, I think you know what?
I don't know,
maybe
I'm overlooking.
well, no, it's a good question. You got to be highly engaged. If you're not highly engaged communicating, then they are going to suffer because they're not going to know who the hell you are, right? So, yeah, I think you have to step up your communications and be out there, be the face.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not, somebody else is going to step in and be the face. So, yeah, it's different. You've got to be more. I communicate more now than I ever did.
Is that a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing.
Oh, okay.
It's a good thing. It's just, back in the day it was a lot face to face, right? And then now it's like you're emailing, texting, face to face. It's an onslaught of every kind of communication type you can use, which is good. So, but I know you got to get to getting. You got anything else?
I mean, I'm sure I do, but unfortunately I need to go.
You're getting a roll in time. Well, I was going to bring up that guy that got the insurance guy that got assassinated downtown. Did you see that? Not in Indy, but in New York or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's a weird story, man.
Yeah,
we'll catch up with it next week.
I've seen it, but I'm not so sure I understand.
It's bizarre.
But then, what pops into my head is your industry is no different. I mean, if somebody, maybe I'm okay, I'll just shut up. I don't know. But yeah. Should all of us have our head on a swivel? Or did I just say the wrong thing? I don't know. Dude.
No, I think you said the right thing. Everybody needs the head on a swivel. Yeah, I think that's where it needs to be. It needs to be eyes wide open. That's bizarre. Just like 5:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Just going to go to work. Bam. Dude took off. He escaped on an electric bike. Like the ones downtown Indy? Yeah. They were able to track the bike.
On a Pacer bike.
Yeah, Pacer.
Yeah.
All right, David B.
Good holiday season. Good way to start the holiday season. Appreciate everybody listening.
Ship's Gonna Happen out.